hello to the Leo subscribers, just in time for your Leo July 2020 reading. I really love doing some readings for you. Actually, I was just doing some meditation now, providing spiritual energy, comfort, peace and strength to the Leo subscribers, and you will feel that during the course of this reading. Now, while I was doing it, there was a thunderstorm brewing, and I think we'll have rain any tick of the clock. I like doing readings in the rain, as long as I'm not in the rain. While it's raining, I should say. And I also liked doing a number of readings for you during the last month as well. And thank you very much for the referrals that you gave to friends of yours. It's my pleasure, and it's good to know that you enjoyed it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, face to face, over FaceTime or Skype, then just have a look in the description box and you can see how easy it is. But you know, I use a lot of astrology in my readings of the tarot, and I will probably be doing so today. I'm also going to be using Chinese I Ching, which comes up in these cards. That's a 7 of Wands. There are also probably runes. In fact, yep, there's a rune and an ancient biblical letter, which is has particular meanings for this card. That's the Emperor for you, Leo. How fitting. Nice, a lot of fire energy around that card. What's this card here? The 10 of Stones. See, there's another Chinese I Ching. Interesting, interesting. Love doing readings for you, Leo. Don't know what it is, but I've been doing the readings for you, Leo, some of you Leo ladies over the internet, and very beautiful women, Leo. Very beautiful women. Now there's the 6 of Cups, incidentally. It's also got an I Ching on it. Or I Ching, I should say, as is this one, the 8 of Swords. Look, without any further ado, why don't we get... Now here comes the rain, so let's get the reading underway and see what is in store for you this month of July. Okay, here we go. Oh, look at this. You've got all the 4 elements here and a great card, the Emperor, which is ruled by Aries, but a fire sign just as you are. I'm going to start with this card, which is the 8 of Swords. Now, the reason why I'm going to start with it is because it's got this Emperor sitting on top of it, which is weakening it and pushing it away. Also next to it here is the 10 of Stones, which is Earth. Now, swords are air. Earth and air are enemies, and the earth weakens the air. And we shall see that the force of this card is being weakened and really being pushed out, which is some good news, I think, for you. Let's have a look to see what the card itself has to say. And just looking at some of the imagery here, I think that while the swords do not cut the trees appear ill, don't they? They symbolize nature in trouble and a sick spirituality. Now, if I look at the astrology of the card, and I look at the astrology before I get to this Chinese I Ching character here, let's pull this out a little bit. What I have is Jupiter ruling the first decade of Gemini, that 21st to the 31st of May. This is the lord of shortened force. Now, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, and so to get into Gemini, it has to travel 180 degrees away from its home to get into Gemini, and therefore it is in detriment. So Jupiter is weakened, and the inquisitive nature of Gemini inhibits Jupiter further. So a weakened Jupiter means you may have the feeling that you can't get what you want due to too many, that's the Gemini aspect, distractions, which may or may not be self-created. And so you might want to look at how it is that you are spending your time and the degree of focus that you have on getting what you want. Are you doing what's necessary? I think it's also possible that in an overall situation you're having a hard time about which is the best option for you to take at the moment. You could be having what I call analysis paralysis, with the energy scattered, Gemini, in endless unproductive thoughts. Well, a solution might be to take a time out and do something different, and let Jupiter sit there and do its work and let things settle down, and then you can come back with new eyes. It may be that you are wasting your time on some new things which really are not all that important. Now let's have a look at the I Ching character that's at the bottom of the card. The I Ching works on the basis that the solid lines are masculine and the broken lines are feminine. Now these things come in hexagrams, hex for 6. Now they can either be read individually or in couplets or triplets or as a whole, and I'm going to read it for you now as a whole so you can see this I Ching here. Now this is, I think, the symbol for cutting through. Current circumstances for you call for cutting, or for confronting really, a thorny situation and cutting through it. Somehow the way to harmony and unity is blocked or frustrated, perhaps by a tangle of deceit or corruption. But like Alexander the Great cutting the Gordian knot, take decisive action, and you will meet with good fortune, and your destiny will be fulfilled. Don't be afraid to shake things up a bit. The ability to take corrective measures when they are needed is an essential trait of leadership, and you understand that more than anybody. But those who bring discipline to bear must above all be honest with others and with themselves. So honesty is the hallmark of the strong and self-confident. And I think that though your actions may be vigorous, they shouldn't be hasty or severe or arbitrary. Be sure to carefully consider all of the circumstances. In the case of a serious disruption of relations or events, forgive, but don't forget. At least not until the person has made reparation for his or her mistakes. If corrective action is necessary, make certain that it truly fits the crime. In those situations where serious issues of justice are at stake, keep careful records, and don't be afraid to go public with the truth. Now, let's have a look at this one here, which is this 7 of Wands, because I think it's related to that 8. Here it is. Yeah, quite an interesting scene in some respects, isn't it? I think if we look at it, what we can see is that the scene is peaceful, though the sky is cloudy. The spears rise out of holes in the rock. Active humanity striving upward is what I see. The ball above here is, I think, the non-material world of the mystic, and there's another one of these I Ching characters that's there. But looking first at the astrology of the card for you, I really have Mars in the 3rd decan of Leo, and there is a Venus association here as well, because Venus is for me associated with the number 7 mystically, the planet, very feminine planet, Venus. So the energy of the 7 and of the suit here of Wands is weakened because we've come a long way away from the ace. We're down at the number 7 here, and we have a feminine influence from Venus, and so the energy is really starting to get weak, I think. We're really having weak energy associated with it. And as I say, it's Mars in Leo. And Mars normally doesn't get on with Leo, but in this case, being so does get on with it, but in this case, being so far down the tree of life, I just don't think that there's any astrological harmony that's here, and the feminine energy of Venus doesn't sit well in Mars, and you may well think that it is pretty well only your Mars energy that is keeping you going in the situation. This is the Lord of Valor. It's about courage. It's about taking risks. It's about pushing through obstacles for you, and I think that is what you'll do. I think that you will start to gain focus. This lack of focus that may have been indicated by this Eight of Swords, I think, is going away, but it is as if you might feel that you're fighting a losing battle at the moment with respect to something, and that it is really only your courage that is keeping you going. Maybe you haven't been dealt the best hand. Although there are things going on in the background here that I think are making sure that this changes for you. You could feel as if you're on a sinking ship in some respects. I think that it's important for you to say that you really do express your own reality openly and honestly. Now, if we look at the I Ching that's here, and again we have this mixture of the masculine and feminine energy that's coming through. The I Ching, in the position where it is, up here in this left-hand corner, really speaks to me of a sort of a deliverance or a release. It's like the feeling of clarity and fresh opportunity that follows a thunderstorm or any time of extreme tension or obstacles. Now, the storm has had the effect of clearing the air and suddenly reducing the tension that you get in the atmosphere prior to a storm. Do you know what I mean? I think this symbolizes that some kind of deliverance is at hand. In the wake of a storm on land, deliverance can appear in the form of new color and life, which bursts forth in fields and flowers. In the realm of human relations, the reign of forgiveness let me pull that out, can really wash the human landscape clean after a conflicted period of controversy and error. Great clarity of purpose and renewed vigor can follow the healing of old wounds, but care must be taken by you to avoid accidentally reopening these wounds by moving too quickly. Similarly, it is important, I think, for you to return to normality before moving ahead with new plans or projects after a period of stress. But following the period of the resolution of a difficult situation, your first priority is to return to normal conditions as quickly as possible. Breathe a sigh of relief, but don't relax completely. It would be awake to reawaken the sleeping dogs of the immediate past before the new situation has stabilized. Look ahead. Attend to any residual matters that need taking care of, and do so without hesitation. Make a clean sweep of the past and move deliberately. Forgive, forget, and move on to see your fortunes improve. Now, in that context, I think it's very appropriate that this card here of the Emperor should have arisen. And let's have a look at this Emperor. Oh, it's got a runic symbol there. There's also an ancient biblical letter. Here he is, Mr. Emperor. And in line with the sort of this Nordic rune here, there is, I think, quite a Nordic background to the card that's going on. This tree that is up here, I think that this is the tree known as Yggdrasil. That is the world tree of Scandinavian myth, with its roots deep in the mysterious origins of life and its branches reaching up into the stars beyond. Now, The Emperor holds a rod here, like a sort of a scepter, that he has received, I think, from the Empress. The gold ball that he has in his hand here really symbolizes the material world. The diamond overhead contains the colors of humanity itself. Now you can see from this glyph here that this is a card which is, and I agree, ruled by Aries, that pioneering sort of a spirit. This guy for me is the son of the morning, the chief among the mighty. It's Aries ruled by Mars with the sun exalted. And I think that this means that you will be primarily concerned with power and control over people or yourself. I think you'll be seen to be a natural leader and organizer. Willpower and judgment through your life experiences will be well deployed, and I think that there is success coming through your self-discipline and application. It's a period, I think, where you may find yourself to be quite a rational thinker, and I think status is going to be important to you, as is material security and stability. It's quite possible, though, that you could be quite volatile during this period because the Emperor is a very active person and not at all passive. The Emperor doesn't sit around waiting for things to happen in his realm. What he does is he's always on the front foot and making sure that things happen. I think what we can see here is to say that what revitalization does your life need at the moment, do you think? I think that this is a really propitious moment for a change or a new beginning, and trust your own energy and move with it. Examine yourself critically, especially in regard to your relations with any subordinates that you might have. Now, these might be with children or with people at work, and also with any superiors that you have or people that you work with. Trust your power. Say this to yourself: I rule by serving, I serve by ruling. I enjoy initiating projects, I value honor and leadership ability. I am a responsible person. Well, here's a rune, and let's have a look at them and see what they may have to say for you. Now, you see this figure up on the right here, that's a rune. It's called Ansuz. And this actually, I think, means in this card where it's placed for you that there's going to be a revealing message or insight or some communication made to you. I think you'll have a great degree of inspiration and enthusiasm. You'll have very good powers of speech. You'll have strong power of words. And it also means, I think, that blessings are coming from your way and taking good advice from other people. Now, I think that your health will generally be good or will improve, and I think that you will be showing other people your wisdom. The ancient biblical Hebrew letter that's here is the 5th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it is He. He represents divine revelation, the breath of the Creator. Now, I'm pretty sure in a book of the Old Testament, in the book of Psalms, Psalm 33, verse 6, it says, "By the word of the Lord the heavens were made, and by the breath of his mouth all their host." The world was created with the utterance of this word, this letter, this word, He, right? Meaning breath. It represents the gift of life and creates the verb of being. Yeah. It symbolizes the essence in all creation. It symbolizes the effortlessness of the world and the symbol of divinity, gentility, and specificity. It also contains within it the freedom of choice. Now, incidentally, this letter is one of the letters in the holy name. You probably heard the name Yahweh. Well, as a name for the Jewish and Christian God. Well, there's only one God. It doesn't matter what the religion is. All the rivers flow to the ocean, don't they? Well, the name for God in the Hebrew is Yud He Vav He. Yud He Vav He. So it's quite an important letter. in spirituality. Now, where might we go next? You've got two fantastic cards here. Let's have a look at this first one. This is good news for you. And what is it? It is the... What is it? Let me have a look. Put my glasses back on. There it is. The Six of Cups. Now, if we look at this card here, there's like a column of rock rising up, isn't there? Well, I think that that column is probably part of a temple. Now, this bubble, which is on the right-hand side here, it's tinted red, and that is for life energy. Now, there's a 5-pointed star up at the top here, and that indicates the presence of the goddess with her wisdom, power, and protection. The 4 cups, which are on the left here, to me stand for law, and the 2 on the right stand for love. This is really, for me, the Lord of pleasure, and it is the sun ruling the second decan of Scorpio. There's sun here for me also in the numerology, because mystically I have associated with the number 6 here, the sun. Now, it's also an area of Krishna consciousness, or Christ consciousness, as it's known mystically. But the sun is certainly associated with it here. So I have the sun ruling Scorpio, and I have the sun in the numerology. So we have a double dose of the sun. And a double sun reveals what Scorpio wants to hide. I think what we see here is there is great pleasure to be had for you, and you think, goodness me, isn't that about time? And there's a lot of sexual pleasure, I've got to say. Now, that sexual pleasure may be involved in activity with somebody else, or it may be in a fantasy environment that you have. I see excitement, communication with ancestors, and family support. It's a very sexualized card, this, I have to say, particularly in the situation that it is. The emphasis is really on sexuality. I think that there's pleasure experienced after a lot of hardship. And I think also, because I'm looking at these cups, and they seem to be made of brass, and brass has a feeling of Venus to it, which esoterically, which is about healing as well. And so I feel that you could be going through a period of healing and transformation. I think also that the emphasis is on relationship, or the desire to have a relationship that will improve both the individuals. You know, where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And looking at the I Ching, which is down here, there it is down the bottom there. I'm just looking at that one. It's masculine, masculine, feminine, masculine, masculine, feminine. Well, that means joy. Traditionally, joy was symbolized by a group of friends playing, or a carefree child singing to themselves while engaged in their work. Whatever the example, happiness is rising from within and spreading out into the world. Joy comes into the world through gentle means, but springs from a solid sense of self. The power of joy should not be underestimated. The enjoyment of learning and discovery, or interaction with someone else, for example, has served as the inspiration for a lot of progress in your life, and I think that this is what's going to be happening for you further now. So as such, that which brings joy to you is also a source of much potential. If happiness is supported by stability, it will wear down the stiffest barriers and win over the hardest heart. True joy is a beacon in the world, isn't it? Because being so rare, its presence is an indication of good fortune now and in the future. And how could that be otherwise? This is really a time when you are going to be moving forward. And that takes us to this fantastic card here. Where are we? Now, this is the 10 of Earth. Well, Mercury ruling the third decan of Virgo, about the 13th to the 22nd of September, I think. Well, actually, that's really good now that I think about it, because that's what I have in the card, Mercury ruling Virgo. But in ordinary astrology, Mercury also rules and is exalted in Virgo. So you'll have good communication skills, which is the Mercury aspect of the card, and good organizational ability, which is Virgo. So there is success and abundance with this card here. This is really talking about inner and outer riches, the ability to make inner wealth visible and share it with others. I get richness, abundance, really possibility of an inheritance or even a small lottery win, a supportive and tight-knit family. If you're involved in a family business, I think things are going to start looking up. I think what we can talk about here is that your material circumstances are liable to take an unexpected jolt forward for the better, is what I'm seeing here. Some sort of material, monetary improvement is what I see. But do you know about your inner wealth? Do you share it generously? And I think what you should do is on a piece of paper write down all the qualities which constitute your inner riches. And have this thought in mind: I am internally and externally rich and free and enjoy everything thankfully and in surrender. Now the I Ching, which is in this card, which is feminine, masculine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, that is really referring to the well. And throughout all cultures of the world, the well has served as a symbol for that which sustains life and provides a constant, inexhaustible source of nourishment. Now, human nature is basically the same all over the world, as I've found out. The passage of time can't add to its dimensions nor take anything away. Still, just as a well can be deepened to produce clearer water, you can enrich your life by delving deeply within to tap your essential nature and reach the true source of spiritual and emotional nourishment for you. Now beware of shallow thinking. Like a little learning, it can be dangerous. The idea of the well suggests that going further within produces greater clarity. Now be patient and you will penetrate your problems and your own nature as deeply as you can. Now self-development is the key to reaching down to tap the clear water. If you do not lower your bucket into the depths, you're likely to come up empty. And remember, when great depth is sought, lessening the speed of normal operations may be required. A shallow carelessness in the process of meeting deeper needs can be self-defeating and even dangerous. But all in all, what a fantastic and extremely interesting month for you, and it's going to be a great time for you, Leo. Well done. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, there you go, the month of July 2020, and it looks as if there's going to be great things in store for you, and that's great to hear because you deserve good things to happen to you. You certainly do. Look, you were fantastic during that reading, as you always are, and really there's really only one thing left for me to say, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.